I feel alone. I feel like I'm not really part of this world. People look at me, but I don't really feel that they see me. I wonder if they ever will. Sometimes, I wish I could just disappear and be by myself. I'm tired of pretending, but I'm afraid of what will happen if I stop. These words from Marilyn Monroe's diary resonate deeply with the inner turmoil many of us feel when we hide our true selves to fit in. Today, we're delving into a profound question of authenticity through the lens of a psychoanalyst, Donald Winnicott's theory of the true self and the false self. Donald Winnicott was a renowned British pediatrician and psychoanalyst in the 1900s who made significant contributions to understanding child development, parent-child relationships, and emotional growth. According to Winnicott, a psychologically healthy person can suppress his impulses and wear a temporary mask in necessary social settings, while also being able to feel connected to who he really is. Winnicott believes that to balance between these two tasks, one needs to experience a period of time where he feels like he is the center of the universe. He does not care for social demands or caregivers' needs. He screams in public when he is frustrated, hits and kicks when he is mad. He smiles when he is happy and hugs when he loves. He acts without filter, true to his moment-to-moment feelings. This state is called omnipotent, where the baby is allowed to feel relatively free from the shackles of reality and external demands. If a mother is good enough, she repeatedly meets the baby's needs for a duration of time. This period of attunement breathes life into the child's true self. In other words, true self develops in a facilitating environment where the infant's spontaneous expressions are met with appropriate responses from the caregiver. True self, in a way, is born out of the person's feeling safe enough to feel and express his authentic thoughts and emotions. Thus, it is characterized by aliveness, growth, resilience, creativity, and capacity for genuine relationships. As a child grows up, he begins to recognize that he is not the center of the universe. Because he had enjoyed a period of time where he was safe to express his authentic self, he is comfortably to adjust to social demands without sacrificing his identity. So what happens when the mother repeatedly fails to meet the baby's needs? For instance, a mom may be depressed and unable to care for the baby appropriately. Or she may be preoccupied with her own needs instead of the baby's. In both cases, the baby learns that when he shows his genuine feelings and needs, these expressions may be met with neglect, criticism, or intrusiveness. However, because the baby still needs his caregiver for survival, he begins to adapt by creating a facade that complies with the external demands and attunes to the caregiver's needs. In other words, the baby performs a trade with the devil where he suppresses his true self and wears a socially acceptable mask in exchange for attention from the caregiver and protection from emotional vulnerability. This facade is the false self. To put differently, false self can be thought of as a warrior ready to defend the true self from overwhelming vulnerabilities. Of course, false self is not always bad. To get along with friends, coworkers, and families, as adults, at times, we need to be able to put on a mask. The pathology occurs when the mask becomes the identity. For instance, a person with a complete false self is disconnected from who he truly is and who he is. Therefore, he feels constant inner emptiness, meaninglessness, and a sense of living a lie. To illustrate this concept, let's look at the biography of Marilyn Monroe, one of the most iconic and celebrated figures in Hollywood history. Her public persona as a glamorous, vivacious actress made her an international symbol of beauty and allure. However, her personal life was fraught with emotional struggles, emptiness, and depression. Marilyn Monroe's early life was filled with emotional neglect and instability. Her mother struggled with mental illness and couldn't provide constant care. Monroe spent most of her childhood in different foster homes and orphanages, experiencing ongoing abuse and a lack of stable, nurturing relationships. Her early caregivers were often unable to meet her emotional needs adequately, creating an environment that was not safe for her genuine feelings and impulses, aka for her true self, to emerge. In response to the emotional neglect and instability she faced, Monroe developed a persona, her false self, that was characterized by the carefree, naive, and seductive image she projected. This persona was the carefully crafted facade that allowed her to gain the approval and affection she craved. Monroe's false self was designed to meet the expectations of the public and to protect her from further emotional pain and vulnerability. It is as if inside Monroe was a scared little girl who was so afraid to show the world who she really is. While her public image as the naive, blonde, and sex symbol brought her fame and success, it also fueled her disconnection from her authentic self. She felt constant feeling of living a lie. Her personal relationships were often troubled, and she experienced a profound sense of loneliness and isolation. Monroe's diaries and letters reveal a person who was so afraid to show her authentic self. She coped with this distress through substance use, which ultimately led her untimely tragic death in 1962. Examining Monroe's life through Winnicott's lens offers insight into the challenges faced by individuals who develop a false self as a defense mechanism against early emotional neglect and trauma. Monroe's false self allowed her to achieve external success and maintain a public image, but it came with the cost of a deep-seated sense of emptiness and a disconnection from her true self. Winnicott believed that the aim of therapy is to help people like Monroe rediscover their true self. The role of therapists is to create a safe and accepting environment where the defenses of the false self can be gently dismantled, allowing the authentic self to emerge. In summary, Winnicott's concept of the true self and false self help us to understand our inner selves. The true self flourishes in early years where spontaneous needs are met with empathy and consistency. In contrast, the false self develops as a defensive adaptation to neglect and criticism from caregivers. Monroe's story exemplifies how early childhood neglect and trauma can cause an individual to cling on to the false self so rigidly. It also highlights how a successful exterior can mask profound inner disconnection and emptiness. As Winnicott profoundly stated, "It is a joy to be hidden, and a disaster not to be found." Okay, that's good enough for now. Thank you so much for watching. We would love to hear how Dr. Winnicott's concept of the true self and the false self applies to you or anyone that you know. If you found this topic helpful, make sure to give this video a like and subscribe to see more topics in our future videos. As always, have a great day and we'll catch you in the next video.